The schooling system punishes you for copying. In the real world, copying and improving other people's ideas and work makes you rich. It frowns upon failure and mistakes. In the real world, failures and mistakes are required in order for you to grow. In the earliest times, formal education was only limited to the privileged few. Only the sons of nobility and the wealthy were given formal education, which focused primarily on reading, writing, and arithmetic. It was during these times that universities began to emerge. Then the study of classical texts became popular, and formal education expanded beyond nobility to include the middle classes. The Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s brought significant changes to formal education. The growth of industries created a need for skilled workers. Then John Rockefeller, the world's first billionaire, funded the Standard Oil Company, which dominated the oil industry. But he had a problem. He simply couldn't find enough skilled workers to keep the world turning. So he needed a way to educate the population on a massive scale so they could come and work for him. His plan was to educate people just enough so that they could keep his empire running with a happily obedient smiles on their faces. So he helped pioneer the public school system. This gave him the opportunity to condition and influence how the masses think, behave, and act from a very young age. He got to decide what they learn and don't learn. He got to decide how they see the world. He got to condition them to be fearful of making mistakes, to be punctual, to be obedient, not to follow their dreams. He got to teach them that if you don't follow orders, then you are a failure, because these are all traits of a good worker. If people follow their dreams, they would be too ambitious. They would think for themselves and become competitors. School provided some sort of vocational value, that the point of the boring stuff we do in school would be a way to show future employers that you can handle the boring route nature of working the assembly line. And it worked. Our entire formal education system was created in the industrial age because business magnates such as the Rockefellers needed more workers. As Rockefeller once said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." The origin of formal education system is traced back to the Prussian Empire. Well, before and after everything, education is still the key. You see, school and education are not exactly the same. We have it inversed. Education is the process of receiving or giving systematic instruction. It just happened that school became the most popular and universally accepted form of education. School is an institution for educating people. We often mix up school with education, so let it be clear to you that school is a place where you get education, but you can get education elsewhere besides in the classroom. Education happens everywhere. Think about where you go to school. You might say to learn from books, and that's about it. And they say school is the only way to be successful. We've been told that a lot, but is it true? First, there's no place in real life that means school. There's no workplace where you're going to be working with people the same way, doing the same thing. But education, the key, is more than just reading books and attending lectures. It's much more bigger. It's about thinking, it's about understanding, it's about solving problems, knowing and doing things. Education makes you curious. It helps you ask questions like, why do I need to know this? How can I do this? Education happens everywhere, not just in school. Every time you learn something new from anyone, you are being educated, be it from your parents, your colleagues, or your friends, at a party, at the dinner table, in the bus, or at work. This video is educational in nature, so you don't necessarily need school to be successful, but you need to be educated. You need to learn and apply what you learn. It's about thinking, it's about learning, it's about understanding and doing, not just memorizing facts. The mind that opens to a new idea never comes back to its original size. Going to school is important, but if what you learn in school can help you in real life, then you might not be getting a good education. It's good to learn in school because it gets you credentials and respect in society. Trust me, I know. But it's even better to get a true education that helps you think and understand the world around you. In the late 1700s, Prussia invaded Poland and won. Then they needed a Poland population to throw away their identity and accept their own ways and ideologies, but they didn't stand a chance in changing the minds of the older population. The adult or proud Poland people, there was no hope in converting them. But if they could attack the children, they could decimate Polish culture in just 100 years. So they created a new 8-year education system, where for 8 years kids will go to school to learn how to read and write, but they would also learn how to listen to others and to respect the authority of their Prussian leaders. One Prussian philosopher is famously known for saying that education should aim at destroying free will, so that after students have left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. And when the technique has been perfected, every government that has been in charge for education will be able to control its subject securely without the need of armies and policemen. Formal education was practical and effective in the 1950s. The normal guy who went to school had a big house and 2 cars, and his children would receive a good formal education, and his woman could stay at home and take care of the house as he worked a normal job at a factory. Nowadays, the normal life is for both partners to work and struggle to pay the bills. At school, learners experience a complete lack of control. Every minute of a child's life is controlled by the system. These are industrial age values. All day long, students do nothing but follow instructions. Sit down, keep quiet, take out your books. The system is sending out a very dangerous message to our children that they are not in charge of their lives. They just have to follow whatever is laid out to them, and real life doesn't come with an instruction manual book. The modern world values people who can be creative and communicate their ideas. Experts say more than 60% of children don't like school because in school, they are not free. Every child is learning the same thing at the same time in the same way as everyone else. This doesn't align with the basic trait of being human, that each and every person is unique and different. In 1969, a study was completed within the formal education system that showed the effectiveness of different types of learning. The cone of learning was developed. It revealed that the least effective way of learning is by reading and lecture, and the most effective way to learn is by doing. Isn't it interesting that the formal education system still teaches primarily through reading and lecture, and it has been armed with the code of learning since 1969? This is a modern day cell phone, and this is a cell phone from 100 years ago. This is a modern day car, and this is a car from 100 years ago. This is a classroom of today, and here is a classroom in the late 1800s. Everything has changed except the tool they claim prepares us for the future. Makes you wonder, does formal education prepare us for the future or the past? The world has progressed. We live in a world where things are done in the flesh. Money transactions are completed at the push of a button. A businessman can conclude a deal in China, motivate his team in North America, and deliver a marketing pitch in Dubai, all before the morning, all done by pressing a few buttons. Our formal education system, unfortunately, does not match the same speed. In 2009, a study conducted in America found that 80% of Americans today want to be entrepreneurs. The problem is that the school system is training people to be employees. Most business schools teach people how to be successful in big corporations such as Apple, rather than starting their own companies. Schools are ancient institutions that are now irrelevant where success is concerned. Being creative, recognizing patterns, following your passions, and doing the real thing is what is required to be successful in this modern day of age.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all.
The whole point of a college degree is to show a potential employer that you showed up someplace 4 years in a row, completed a series of tasks reasonably well and on time. So if he hires you, there's a semi-decent chance that you'll show up there every day.
I dated a girl one time who had 2 college degrees. And we're sitting there, we had met. She said, so what do you have a degree in? I said, I don't have a degree. She said, you don't have a degree? I said, no. She said, how are you planning on making it without a degree? Ta-da!